Welcome to Hamim Royale. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today on Meanwhile, we are back in the electric chair. It's over. We fucked up. We did wrong.
Well, we've been fucking up, but this time we got caught.
This time we got caught, and we are going to turn into Balthazar Getty. No, we're going to talk about the Welcome to Twin Peaks Access Guide to the Town. Dan, this is the first. I have never been more unprepared for one of these podcasts because I feel like I've only read this once. So this is my first time, and I just read it last, month, I guess.
I will say, Eric, I don't think this is a book that bears many close readings.
Okay.
Once is probably
good. But normally it's like I've seen the show a bunch of times. I've seen Fire Walk with Me, hundreds of times at this point for all this stuff. I feel like the Mark Frost books, I've listened to the audiobooks and I've read the print books. I also feel a little bit like uncertain, like not as confident. This one is like the first time I feel like, am I going to get things wrong? Am I going to get things right? We're going to find out. Dan, do you know when this book came out?
Eric, I think this book came out in 1991.
It did. It says June 1st. But after everything we did with the autobiography and the date on that, I'm not really sure if this actually came out on June 1st, but everyone sort of reports June 1st, 1991. It was $2 more than the diary and the autobiography. Now, I've never had a physical copy, but I looked up to see, what it looked like, and it is noticeably taller than the diary and these, the paperbacks for the autobiography.
From the imprint pocketbooks, and I think that was a series of books that was meant literally like field guide style to be able to fit into a pocket as you're walking around. So this is
it was
a tall and skinny book.
Yep, it was like a part of this travel access guide series, like the legitimate access. They went to a place that makes access guides for towns. It was done by Richard Saul Wurman. If you're wondering who created the TED conferences. If you're wondering who made up the word or the term information architecture, well, that's old Ted. No, his name's not Ted. His name is Richard.
Okay, so I looked him up, and then that's the person that came up, and I was like, okay, there must be a different person with this exact name, because that's bonkers that it has a varied background like that.
It's him. And on many of these shows, the last 2 or 3, I've talked about the Access Guide and how mad I am that it's not in print. And I actually heard from this guy, John Bernardy. I hope I'm getting your name right. He's from Blue Rose Task Force. How nice is this? I got to tell you, take a pause. So many of these Twin Peaks podcasts are like the nicest people. We've heard from Cream Corn and the Universe podcast, Blue Rose Task Force.
Terrific.
I've had talked on Blue Sky with John Thorne of Wrapped in Plastic fame. Yep. Cameron from David Lynch's World. All these nice people. He's like, you start a new podcast. You hear them from people, it's very nice. But anyway, I got the information, like, why isn't this book coming out? Because I think he ran into problems because he did this excellent blog post, which he sent to me. I will link in the show notes, where he wanted to post pages from the guide and then talk about them. Because he basically does the exhaustive look into the Access Guide, tying it to the series, tying it to Mark Frost books. And he was stopped. Like, the author was like, no, you're not doing it. So he is the reason, Richard Saul Wurman, why this book is not being reprinted. And it seems to be that it's like his philosophy that these things are kind of moments in time kind of thing and let them follow. I completely disagree with him, but I think he does this for all of his work because he's authored a lot of books. He just lets them go out of print. So it sounds like this book will never be, as long as he's around, and it doesn't seem like it's going to see the light of day. Which is, I think it's a shame. I understand the idea of it being a moment in time, but who cares about time? We're in all time. As far as I know, Richard Saul Wurman is the only person, with the exception, I guess, of Monica Bellucci, that exists in reality and in the world of Twin Peaks. So David Lynch is involved in this. Mark Frost, as I said, the main person behind it is Richard Saul Wurman. There's a number of writers from the show. Trisha Brock, she wrote episode 17, Dispute Between Brothers, episode 23, The Condemned Woman, which we both liked.
Yep.
Bob Engels, Harley Payton, Lisa Friedman, who I believe is teaching at NYU, because I was trying to find stuff about her, and it looked like she's a teacher at NYU. So if you want to take a class, you could say, hey, could you have any extra copies of the access guide we can send to our favorite podcast hosts?
And if you do take a class at NYU, use our discount code. Little man.
Little fella. And also Greg Almquist, who I couldn't find a lot of stuff on him, but there's also an actor of the same name. I don't know if it's the same person.
Maybe.
But that's it, man. I don't know. I'm ready to jump into the guide here. I don't know if you have anything before we get in here.
I think we should just dive right
Let's dive in. All right, so we're assuming most people listening to this have not read it. We cannot legally cover every single thing in the book. As I mentioned, you could use that link for that site. Go on over. It covers everything. Blog post, great, covers everything. We're just going to cover the stuff we want. But I want you to have like a general idea of what to expect should you be lucky enough to get a physical copy or find a PDF on the dark web. You've got, Dan, you got maps.
Yes.
Right? You want a downtown map? Got it.
Yep.
You want a town map? Got it. You want a map of Lewis and Clark on their journey across? You're going to find that there. You want to know what the Great Northern Lobby looks like? You're going to find it in this map. Topographic? I got you covered. The entire Pacific Northwest. Sometimes some of these maps is like, did we need to pull out that far? Do you want a map from like 100,000 years ago about where the ocean,
where the glaciers end? Right. Yeah.
You've got it covered.
Sure.
You get a message from our favorite mayor, right? You get a nice little did you know section, which is going to give you some did you know little tidbits, one of which we'll discuss. You get a page from the will of Andrew Packard. You get a thing on the history. You get a thing on that Packard sawmill. You want to learn about the flora, the fauna, the geology, and weather. Dan, points of interest. You want some? There are some.
If you're an active sort of person, you got events.
You got events.
If you're a foodie, you got dining. Surprising amount of lodging options,
and yet some missing, that I wish were in there.
Point those out to me. A fascinating, riveting section, Eric, on sports.
Much too long for my taste, which we'll get to.
What else do we got?
We got fashion. You got religious worship. You got transportation, which also includes radio stations. You got town life, and you got government, which is pretty much restricted to, I guess, how the town is losing money, and a prison, which I guess we'll talk about. A proposed
That was very
prison.
interesting. Yeah.
All right. So jumping at the did you know section, we'll tackle the maps later. The did you know section. Well, actually, I should say the mayor. Did you have anything to say about the mayor? I didn't.
No. I mean, I think it's fine. It's nice to have a Mayor Milford handwritten note in the front of my field guide, which is my town guide.
And it does read like his dialogue with,
yes,
with the corrections and he's getting stuck on certain words and stuff like that. But the did you know, that is my favorite piece of this is the last item. Which they finally correct that population, undoing that bad network note about the town size. So, population is not 51,201, but it's actually 5,120.1.
Right. That 0.1 is hilarious.
Is that Lucy's unborn child? Like, what is
maybe.
What is the 0.1? I don't know. You decide.
It's pretty great. I like the note, did you know that Twin Peaks consumes more donuts per capita than any city in the United States? Which is great because throughout the entire guide, We get lots of references to donuts, lots of references to coffee in surprising places throughout the book.
Yeah, and little, I like it was the nice touch of the little ratings about whether the coffee was good, how was it tepid, was it lukewarm? Like right. It was very cool.
Wait, there was a great recipe for coffee later in the book as well. So
you got a couple recipes. You get recipes for donuts. You get recipes for that little Scotty drink, which looks like it could take the paint off your car.
That would probably kill me.
Cherry pie. You get, and then what else? I said donuts, cherry pie, the drink,
coffee.
There was some kind of coffee thing. Anyway, you get plenty of that stuff.
Which is great because we're going to get into the content of the book. But the thing that I took away from this is the tongue-in-cheek humor throughout. Some of it's really groan-worthy, but throughout everything in here, there's like a very sardonic sense of humor, very knowing, like winking throughout, that I thought was just really great. Like this is what made me think about it. The recipes, completely impractical. One was, was it for the donuts? How to make a batch of 102 donuts. It
was a lot.
And it was also just like it doesn't read like you would normally read a recipe. It was very kind of haphazard in a way. So, but throughout the entire book, it's just, I liked those little moments, even in the sections where it's just like, oh boy, this is going on forever. And then there's just a little aside that's just like, okay.
Jumping over to Andrew's will, which is the impetus for even creating this book. What any thoughts on the will?
Okay. I will say that what's funny about this, he has the will, and it has a nice photo of Andrew at the top. Andrew Packard. It has his birth and death dates, as well as his birth and no death date. So it has both there. So we know in the book that Andrew both died, but is actually not dead. So his will, is this valid, Eric? I know that you're a probate lawyer. So in your history of this, would this be a valid will?
It's very confusing to say, like, okay, when does this take place? It has to be, I have to be careful here, but it has to be after he's already returned, right? Because it's got the date. But then at other parts of the book, it's as if he's dead. Like, especially when you get to the cemetery and they talk about his thing. And also, to your point, if on my death, this thing is going to happen.
Right.
But we know he's not dead. So how is this thing happening?
It's kind of funny. Yeah, I was expecting when we do talk about the cemetery and up on the hill is, Andrew Packard's, like, I pictured as like a mausoleum that's like gigantic, whatever. But no reference there. Oh, it does say that flowers are placed there weekly. And in my head, it's like Andrew's placing them there. Or he's having them placed there
Probably
for him.
Having
like,
them
that's
placed.
just my headcanon for this. No, so it is kind of interesting that way. I think the timing, it's also after the Stop Ghostwood movement gets off the ground, because they do mention the fashion show.
Right, which is a point that I have with this, specifically the Pine Weasel thing.
Yeah, that
if
too. Yep.
Andrew is pan-picking the editor, why is there so much anti-Ghostwood material when it's anti-Andrew? Like, they're talking about the Pine Weasel, and they're talking about, like, it's like just a whole page and section on the Pine Weasel. You would think his hand-picked editor would be more Packard-leaning than Horn-leading.
Maybe Andrew, just like the Murdochs, is just picking very fair and unbiased people to produce the news.
Fair
of the
point.
Town.
Fair point. It's there's questions about the timing, right? Because Josie is dead. Like, so does this take place before the episode, what did I say that was? Episode 23, The Condemned Woman, in which Josie dies? Because when you read her, there's multiple characters. We're going to do that at the end. They have little bios or sidebars. Doesn't mention her having passed. It's as if she's still alive.
Whereas they do mention that Leland is dead.
Yes, and that's something else we'll talk about. So it's like trying to figure out, like, when would this book have dropped?
Maybe the author put it together over a period of time. This undertaking must have taken years, obviously. Extensive research of the town of Twin Peaks.
Very expensive, I guess, if you go by, like, the amount of money they're spending on the town.
Of course, yeah.
All right, so jumping over to history, there's a lot of history going on here. We got Packards, Martells, Horns. We got some historical events. I got a county museum. Give me your thoughts on the history of the town, Dan.
So we talk about the three founding families, and I love the characterization of the Martells as being a family of, if anything can go wrong, it will. Like, if there's any possible, and it goes all the way down to Pete as well. Just like,
it's just bad luck. and bad decisions.
Bad luck. It's really funny. It says, Martell settled in Twin Peaks, continuing a long-time family tradition. Bad luck and worse timing. Fantastic. So that just runs through the entire book, which I think is fantastic.
And it adds so much to the story of Pete and how sad it is.
Yeah.
That these two, because you learn like the Martells had a competing logging mill to the Packards. And Pete's parents are just disasters. So there's, starting from the beginning, it's like Rudolph and Pixie, right? They got bad luck. Rudolph dies. Pixie joins an Indian tribe. Yes. And their son, who never leaves his bed, is like this bedridden guy. He gets a mail order bride of Bessie Spoon, and their only child is Pete. And it's just this wonderful world that they've created. But it is sad because they do sort of, even like when they're hiring people, it's said that they're getting the people that won't work at Packer. It's like they're leftovers.
Right.
But they manage to, like, despite all the odds, are like the ragtag group of misfits. Mm-hmm. And they basically have this opportunity when, I'm going to say, Crosby Truman, who is Harry's grandfather. It's never said that. I'm going to assume that he had a son named Boyd, and Boyd had Harry. He invented that, like, V-shaped flange or flume. And he tries to sell it to the Martells, but they still mess it up when the guy passes on it. Of course, it goes to the Packards, and they just are forced to they're forced to sell it, which is sad.
Right.
But Pete's parents die in interesting ways. His father dies of food poisoning, which, was he poisoned? I mean, he's bedridden. He's got this thing like
bad luck, worse timing. He just chose a bad fish that was out in the sun for too long.
Yeah. His mom dies of lightning. So there's the electricity element that's always so prominent in Twin Peaks. But it does give Pete that sad story that he ends up being a lumberjack at the company that was at one point close enough to be rivals. Yeah. So it's cool.
And then Mary's there, the daughter of that whole thing. Yeah, that's great. On the other side, on the Packards, I do like the original settlers here. We got James and Unwin. I guess is Unwin.
Dabbles in the mystic arts like little Doctor Strange.
She sure does. Although, unlike Doctor Strange, she spends a significant amount of time in and out of sanitarium.
Yeah.
Which is terrific.
Because her true home was the land of Balloon.
Yeah, she has an informal meeting of a club called Those of Balloon. She served as the chairperson until the club was disbanded due to her frequent institutionalization. So that's great. Love the little character of that in the background. But with that, the Packards are this, like, kind of opposites the Martells, like very business savvy, hard-nosed, drives a hard bargain. Every one of them going down to get to Andrew, who seems like a chip off the old block, if not like a even more laser focused version of his father.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's like, we're all business on this Packard mill.
Absolutely. Then you got the Horns as well. The Horns starting off their general store after there was already a kind of general store in town that mysteriously burned down, right? I think that's what happened. So,
yeah, it's a family trait, I guess. Burning down your rival is not unlike Ben. And you learned, like, Ben's a Ben Jr. His dad was a Ben.
Yeah.
So Ben was a Ben Jr. this whole time.
No one even said. We didn't even know. So that's great.
And his grandfather, Orville's considered like a lifelong bachelor. It's like a lot of Ben energy coming off him from the fires to the philandering and everything you imagine's going on.
Of course, I always read the term confirmed bachelor as being gay.
Yes.
And not being. So who knows? But
I took this in the other way, but it absolutely could be what you're saying.
Yeah, totally. Either way. This is also in the section that we learned the history of the Scotty. So we made reference to that drink. Eric, get your bottles out. Let's go. It is.
I thought about making one, to be honest with you, but there's too many like ingredients, and like I'm never going to use, what is it? Drambuie. Like
it's 2 parts bourbon, 1 part rye, a dash of Drambuie, because that's really all you need, and a twist of lime. Yeah, no, thank you.
Well, if we ever meet up in person, we should make the bartender make us that. I feel like you would black out immediately. It seems very heavy-handed.
I like bourbon. Rye's okay. Yeah, we'll make one of those little Scotties disappear, like they say. Extensive thing on the opera house or opera houses. There's throughout the book. There's the mention of the different calamities that have befallen Twin Peaks. Like what was the name of the earthquake?
Yeah, so there's the smallish earthquake of 1905. Last bit of information that I find very amusing is there's a county museum in Twin Peaks in which they had a Robert Mapplethorpe exhibit pass through. It's fun to imagine like the town of Twin Peaks looking at things with whips. Like I just imagine like all of those things, those photographs.
It would have to be those. It would have to be those photos. I mean, he obviously did a whole bunch of other stuff, but that has to be what was there, which is really great.
Yeah. Big part of Twin Peaks obviously is the wood. And we get a whole section just on the Packard mill. So you learn about this wood mistress who's this woman. Her age is sort of unknown. She's got like a Margaret Lanterman quality to her that has this connection with wood. She can identify pieces of wood. The way they describe her is like sort of poking at it with a stick and deciding what it is. She is paid the most as well. So she has the highest salary. And it's this... Some of the characterization feels a little different than you would think. Like all the stuff about intuition, you can tell immediately by the way it feels what this wood is going to be like. Her name was Helga Brogger, and she comes from a long line of women in wood. And they mention she's married to Bjorn Brogger, who's the former director of Meals on Wheels. But we know Laura started the Meals on Wheels program when she saw that poor girl in the Double R in The Secret Diary of Laura Palmer. So I don't know who this guy is as the
masquerading
director of Meals on Wheels, because we know when that was started.
Well, can we talk about the joys of whittling too? Because they, throughout the book, they make reference to whittlers. Just keep making reference to them as basically being degenerates in a way. And
you have to have at least 7 fingers.
Well, yeah, that's the bare minimum. You have to have 7 fingers. And there is a diagram of someone holding up 2 hands with 7 fingers in total, which I thought was just great. So throughout the book, for those who have not read it, there's the content through the pages, and in the margins, there's either some aside, some historical fact, some biographies of people, and then some diagrams. And this one is, 2 hands being held up with missing digits on each hand. It's just really funny. I had to take a screenshot of it because it made me laugh so hard. Whittling is basically carving a piece of wood with a knife. In fact, in Europe, whittling is called carving a piece of wood with a knife. So just like little stupid jokes like that make me laugh. Where the term comes from is shrouded in mystery, which is why whittlers are considered so enigmatic. So it's great, these little asides like that. And obviously it is important because we see Cooper, one of the first things he does is whittle some Douglas fir into his little train whistle that he carries throughout most of the show. So good stuff there. Also, extensive diagrams of different wood profiles and cutting blades throughout the book. So if you're interested, this is a good place to get started.
Well, it makes it feels very real in that sense. Like it's not like the other books. You're not getting a ton of lore and mythology, and although I have parts where I'll point connections that I'm seeing or whatever, but mostly it is like this meta joke in a way of some stuff. But yeah, it's very detailed. It's very designy. And of course, the guy that would invent the word information architecture, it completely makes sense that this would be how the book is presented.
So Eric, when you're whittling, select a softwood to whittle. Oak and ash are just going to mess you up and piss you off.
Yeah, it's true.
It's so good. You have to have a good supply of cloth band-aids. Anyway, folks, if you're interested in saws or getting into whittling, this might be a good place to start for you.
And speaking of wood, Dan, you got to get that wood from the flora. A couple of things here. One I find very interesting and one not so much. So ponderosa pine. So that's the same wood as the log lady's log, so worth pointing it out. But the section I found interesting was on moss, in which it mentions a Gaston Leroux, who is the same name as the author of Phantom of the Opera. But he is referred to as a pedophile.
Yes, it is.
And he has a diary, and his remains are found near Owl Cave, around which moss is abundant. Like, is he a vessel for Bob? He is a trapper.
Catch you with my death bag.
So it's interesting to see him specifically called out as a pedophile. Obviously, we know Leland.
Right.
And that he's in the woods. He's near Owl Cave. He's near these points that are important to Black Lodge. And that he's a trapper. So I found that section to be very interesting. Why that name, and is that name supposed to be the author of Phantom of the Opera? I don't know, but it's interesting.
What was the connection specifically with the moss?
So what did it say here? The earliest reference to the green rugs that are not unlike some brands of indoor-outdoor carpeting is found in Gaston Leroux's diary of May 1787. Apparently lost, the French trapper and pedophile wrote, I carry a supply of moss in my pack to tell me which way I'm going. It makes for inestimably, am I pronouncing that right?
Inestimably fine
company and never interrupts, though it must be disciplined from time to time. That's why, like, for me, immediately, Bob Leland, pedophile, the Owl Cave, he's a trapper, catch you with my death bag.
It is funny, on that page that's talking about the moss, it has a diagram of 4 different species of moss. And the drawings are all 4 identical drawings with different species names. It's just like a really silly joke, but it's like 4 intricate designs of different species of moss, and they're identical photos of each one. It's really good.
All right, so there's not just trees. We got a lot going on with fauna.
This is where they do mention, because there's a little graphic there, this way to stop Ghostwood Fashion Show, and there is the whole section on the pine weasel where they call out primarily found in pine forest, endangered by the proposed Ghostwood development. So we know kind of where this must be situated in time with the show. There is a section in here that goes into great detail around taxidermy with some terrific illustrations. Again, folks, I can't tell you, for the price of $10.95 US, you could really get your start in a couple different areas with woodworking, taxidermy. It's terrific. But yeah, it's pretty graphic, but it just shows how they taxidermied a squirrel. Always put the ears onto the artificial skull before pulling the skin over. You make that mistake once, and you're just like, you're gonna rue the day.
A lot of stuff. I found a lot of stuff in this whole section. This is a great section. First off, you get that white moose legend, right? And so there's this like secrecy around this legend. Even the source in the book remains anonymous, and it's the moose was the sole survivor of a massacre where all the other moose were killed, and
the Moose Massacre of 1787.
Yes, everything has a year.
It's ridiculous.
It's very much like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. There's a lot of I find similar humor in this. But anyway, it haunts the site of this lone ponderosa pine, and it appears to those in trouble because it understands agony and despair. And if you go to this pine and you hear the sound of wind in the trees, you'll see it. It's not quite a white horse.
Right.
But if it were, like, you'd have something. But there's this interesting stuff happening between, like, elk especially and owls that we'll get to. Because there's this place, the Owl Lodge. They mentioned that there's an owl lodge on Sparkwood, and it's a haven for brother owls. And in this Owl Lodge are a bunch of elk horns, like that they've killed. And that's going to come back later when we're going to be talking about Owl Cave being renamed Elk Cave. So these two forces, the elks and the owls, I'm not sure what they're building here. We also learn that owl myth that comes out here, which reminds me of Bob and entities possessing people and sort of doppelgangers and things like that. So in this owl myth, the mother lures her daughter into the woods being this source of evil too. And we remember from Laura's diary with the, bad things happen to children in the woods and the stuff with her father and everything. And when she's up in a tree, or it says like she's in a tree, the mom tricks her to say hoo and fly away, and she transforms into an owl. So again, it's like that owls to people and people to owls things that we get in here. And she wears her skin, which is just great. And so we get this idea again of owls being vessels and people in their bodies of other people. I thought was very cool.
Yeah.
They mentioned the Lamplighter Inn, which you remember from the pilot. That's where Cooper stopped for his cherry pie, if you ever get up that way, but near Lewis Fork. Kind of weird that it's even in this book, though, because it's not in Twin Peaks. But they mention it. They're like, hey, if you came here, you probably stopped at the Lamplighter Inn. Pete's tackle box is like sort of the end of this section.
Oh, boy.
Which has got so much interesting things in there. There's this big thing they also add between Ben Horn and Pete about who caught this 45-inch sockeye salmon that hangs at the Great Northern.
They both claim to have.
I don't remember ever seeing that. There's the big blue marlin, I know, in one of Ben's offices. But whatever, there's this whole thing about that. Ben doesn't strike me as someone that would ever be fishing, but I can see him as the person taking credit for something that he didn't do.
Well, that's for sure.
But what I really want to know is, why does Pete have an article on the I-5 serial killer in his tackle box? He's got this book on fart jokes, as well as this book by Yukimi Mishima. He's a Nobel Prize nominated author that's completely in Japanese, which I like to imagine is something to tie back to Mr. Tajimura, like that he had gotten that to try to learn Japanese while he was friends with him.
Yeah.
And there's also a number of spaces that are empty. So the premise in the book is Pete's giving you fishing advice, and he literally dumps his tackle box out, and then you get a laundry list of all of the things in it, but several are missing. They're just empty.
I wondered if it was some more shirt buttons at line 26, and that's also the blank 27, 28, 29, and 30 was the shirt buttons themselves. I don't know.
Oh,
but yeah,
maybe.
Who knows? I don't, it's funny either way. Very few things are actually relevant to fishing, but he does say some items may appear unnecessary to the novice's eye, but that's the thing about angling. You never know, so be prepared. Also on that page, like right as this starts, because this is from Pete Martell landing that big one, so it's his advice on how to do this. On the page opposite of that is a guide, huge, looks like the reprint of a big poster of dozens of different trout, salmon, and char of the North America. And again, they all look the same. They're almost identical, but it's just like fully descriptive, like the page showing all the different fish. I think it's great. Throughout the book as well, like I said, in the margins, there's like small little asides, there's illustrations, there's these biographies we'll talk about. There's also advertisements throughout this, because it would have been the kind of publication where it would have been partially supported by ads, and some of the ads are just absolutely ridiculous. There's the bike and hike ad is in this section as well. They'll fit you out, rig you for every occasion at a price you'll like, with an asterisk says no guarantee of survival implied. So just everywhere you go, just little tiny jokes. Some are better than others, but I like that a lot.
My favorite ad is the Tim and Tom's taxidermy ad. This is maybe my favorite part of the entire guide. Now, when I got that, when John from Blue Rose Task Force reached out to me, he sent me that link to his thing, which I did not know until I followed his link. But David Lynch shot all of these photos.
Oh, great.
All right. So this is a quote from his article from 25 years later. Let's shift gears and welcome back David Lynch, who photographed the following 4-page ad for Tim and Tom's Taxidermy. The ad stars Twin Peaks producer and future producer of Deadwood and True Blood, Greg Feinberg, as Tom, and David Lander, Twin Peaks Mr. Pinkle, and Laverne and Shirley Squiggy as Tim. Now, as I said, this is probably my favorite part of the book. Like, the two men, David Landers and Greg Feinberg, like, the fact that it's a taxi in taxidermy is also a literal taxi was not something I was expecting, which I love.
Fantastic.
The fact that Tom is blind and he drives through magic telepathy, listening to his brother describe like the road or the condition, and that's how he's driving. It's kind of like, get in and let's just see where we're going kind of energy that is Twin Peaks. Like, don't be nervous, just close your eyes like me. Even like the ad copy, like, we'll drive you anywhere. We'll stuff anything, even a bear. And then it's like the asterisks are like within Twin Peaks city limits, has to be dead for we'll stuff anything, even a bear. Come ride and stuff with us. Like, it's just so fun. They look like they're having so much fun just on this photo shoot. And I love the whole idea. I was completely taken aback by the taxi part of the taxidermy.
I did not see that coming. Fantastic. You had mentioned way back when we first saw Tim that he also had the taxidermy as well, that we would learn more about it. Here we go. We get this. I did not see that it was also going to be a taxi service. And through the photos as well, we can't describe them just with words, but Tim in the back seat, Tom in the front seat driving, but he also has his cane sticking out the window. So I was wondering, is he also using the cane to help drive? He's just going slowly.
He's got to get in and out of the car. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's so funny. It's got the big antlers on top of the taxi as well. Great stuff. I'm so glad that you told me. I didn't know that David Lynch shot these.
Yeah. So that was nice to learn that. All right, so jumping into points of interest, of which there are many in a town like Twin Peaks. We've got Owl Cave, of course. I wish there was more here. There's nothing here, like except for the bit that I mentioned before. So people wanted to name it Elk Cave. And again, there's this sort of war between elks and owls, like thinking of the Owl Club that has the elks mounted, and here it's named Elk Cave. They include the photo of the petroglyph, which Earl uncovered, which we're talking about currently in... If you're listening, obviously you are because you got here. It seems like it's a notable thing, but it's not even talked about. It's not even mentioned.
Nope.
So I just felt like, I was hoping when I saw the picture, I was like, there's going to be cool stuff here about the petroglyphs, and there's not. You get a mention now of this circular lodge, which is this another secret society that has not been mentioned before. Not sure what this group is. Their symbol is this circle logo, a bit like an Ouroboros, maybe. I don't really know what to make of this group. We'll learn a little bit more about them later. Seems like a bunch of weirdos. We find out how Truman got named Truman, Harry S. Truman, because his father, Boyd Truman, a mill worker, literally met Truman. Now, in my world, I was pretending that his grandfather invented that cutter, which took the Packards to the stratosphere. So it's also another irony that his kid is a mill worker, even though, he was exploited for his invention by a Packard. And now the Packard's making all the money and he's out there working in the mill. So
now you think Ronald McDonald gonna go down that basement and say, "Hey, Mr. Nugget, you the bomb. We selling chicken faster than you can tear the bone out. So I'm gonna write my clowny ass name on this fat ass check for you." Shit.
I'm adding that bit to it, but that's where my head's going. You also hear about the Grange, right? So it survived the smallish earthquake of 1905. It's talked about as it's like beautiful, wonderful thing. You hear about James Packard's speech from a book called Pretty Good Speeches I Have Heard, published by a vanity press. That made me laugh out loud. It burned down in 1953 because of arson. It says it's a mystery. We don't know. Was it a horn? Was a horn involved somehow? Probably they have a thing for fire. But why not connect this to the Elks Club fire that Doc Hayward told us about in 59?
We haven't had this much action in one night since the Elks Club fire of 59.
It's only a few years later. We could have got there. Yeah. So, all right. So you can't just visit places. No. We could talk about the. I feel bad not mentioning the falls, and if you fall in love in the falls, you fall in love forever. It's kind of a neat little thing, but I don't have much to add to it. So let's talk about events, Dan.
Yeah, let's talk.
What events tickled your fancy?
So in this event section, we got the Passion Play out at the Glastonbury Grove, which is, not named in the show to this point that we've seen, but we have seen it in both the petroglyph with the circle of 12 trees, and we see Bob emerging from it at the end of an episode. So it's just great to see that get called out here. This is also the only place where we get, I think the only place they call out the Bookhouse Boys specifically. So much for secret societies, just getting their names spread all across the papers here, but that's another one we get here. The mystery surrounds the sponsors of the event, but rumor suggests the ultra secret Bookhouse Boys. I like that. Really good. This is again, this whole thing is lasting the entire night. Dawn brings the ceremony's climax. It is good vanquishing evil. So we get our overarching theme of the entire show kind of brought into this one spot here. And throughout the book, as we'll talk about later with the biographies, people mention the Passion Play repeatedly as one of their favorite things within the entire, all of Twin Peaks.
Pete Martell, he talks about it. Obviously, Big Ed, who is a Bookhouse Boy, so it's no surprise that he would like it. This takes place every 5 years or so. There is a mention of a mysterious guardian at the gate, and you can't help but think of the guardian Briggs saw, and that he's been referencing. We've seen those in the transitional shots and stuff like that. And we know about the dweller and the threshold, that shadow self that we must confront. They mention that the next Passion Play will occur in April of 1992. So I imagine, was there some intention of including this in some fashion in a season 3, should it have come to pass? The fact that they specifically mention in April of 1992, not sure, but It's not the same month, but it's certainly the same year that Fire Walk With Me comes out. One note on it's referred to as a 12 Douglas firs.
Yeah.
Which may or may not stay Douglas firs. That's the Passion Play is very strange.
Also, we get the Packard Timber Games. I love that it's a series of 7 different events. They all, some of them, it's, riffs on the Scottish Highland games. So you get the whatever they call it. What do they call it? The caber toss, but it's the big pole that you're supposed to throw. But the rules just get like kind of silly as it goes further. It reminds me very like much of like a Monty Python. You said like Douglas Adams or Hitchhiker's Guide. It feels like that throughout all of these descriptions of the different games.
I'll be honest, anything that touched on sports I found very boring, including the Packard games and like the whole sports section. I only have a couple notes. I was like, I gotta get by this stuff.
The one that I liked the most was the sheaf pitch. So it's a 15-pound bundle of spruce or pine boughs tossed over a horizontal bar with a pitchfork, and it says that unfortunately Bernie Welsh tossed more than 30 feet in the air, but the pitchfork ended up landing in someone's head. So that's great.
Yeah.
It's these little descriptions like that are just so silly. And then off on the side, you get the little cant hooks, so the different hooks, the sporting poles that you're supposed to use for this, descriptions of the different shoes you're supposed to wear. It's like there's all these like minutia that are so, like you said, it makes it feel very real and also so ridiculous at the same time.
It's full of like unnecessary detail.
Unnecessary detail throughout. Absolutely. It's really good. The stone throw is great, and they do mention it's a 22-pound stone, but unlike shot put, there's no wind up. You just have to throw it, so it doesn't go very far.
Yeah, so it just only goes a couple of inches or a couple of... Yeah, that part was funny.
Oh, it's so good. And Eric, when you do enter, remember all entrants, male and female, must wear kilts, plaid or solid. It's up to you, but you got to wear a kilt. We got other events, though, Eric. You want to go through the calendar? Any highlights to mention in the calendar?
Miss Twin Peaks, the funniest part about Miss Twin Peaks was that there was an electrocution in 1973 and that they have to have a moment of silence for her before they throw on the Christmas lights. Absolutely. This also happens at Horns, is where they start this thing. So I don't know. Electricity, again, is always a big thing. Electricity and this town, but also at the Horns, like what was going on there I found it very funny that they have to have this moment of silence for someone that got electrocuted in 1973. Yeah.
And then there's the one sentence at the end of that as well. After all the tree lighting and everything, then it's ice skating at the town rink until the owls come out.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah.
You just get these little throwaway mentions throughout.
Again, owls, yeah. So what's going on with these poor girls? Caribou Festival, Dan. So you got this. It's basically St. Patrick's Day, where people dress in dead animal skins and they get drunk, so drunk that none of the sheriff's deputies can have off. Yeah, I would like to see that play out in Twin Peaks of just this. It's almost like a Wicker Man thing with these people dressed as in animal skins wandering the streets, like this Caribou Festival.
You got to remember in February that there is the chess tournament at the Great Northern Hotel with it's presided over by soon-to-be Grandmaster Pete Martell.
Yeah, he's on his way.
All that.
There's a 10K, a parade, and then they crown Miss Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And we will see a crowning, but it's not like this. The judges are correct, though, however. Oh. They mention a country club. Like, where is that? And I do like that it says most everyone is welcome, meaning not everyone is welcome. 4th of July, someone always dies going over the falls in a barrel, usually.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, like, was that a thing that just happened? Because then you start thinking, well, was it just people committing suicide during the Great Depression? And that's where that whole going over the falls in a barrel thing, was that a real... I want to know, listeners, did people actually go over the falls in a barrel? Or were people so poor that they would wear a barrel with the 2 straps where they'd be naked and just walk around with just the barrel? Did these things actually happen?
This is weird, like cartoon logic that I don't ever know was a real thing or not, but we all saw that growing up. I will call it in this section as well. There is the sack race and frog jumping contest, Eric, which has been consecutively won for the last 10 years by Toad of Double R Diner fame.
Yeah, well, you learn he was on the football team.
Yeah, we did learn more about Toad, but just to call out that Toad of Double R Diner fame, as opposed to Toad of whatever position he played on the high school football team.
He hangs out a lot at the Double R. I mean, that's his home away from home. Maybe that's his only home.
It might be.
I have 2 more events worth pointing out
Please.
for me. Halloween parade. So you get Battis gets a mention.
Yes.
And a lament. He would also dress like a druid. And his death is said to be a loss to quote-unquote some, but especially for this parade. And again, it's a missed opportunity, I think. You should have had Andrew Packard running this parade, dressed as a druid.
You don't really know much about Halloween.
The Halloween 3 fans out there know what I'm talking about, putting Dan O'Harely there. It would have completely connected with the Halloween 3 universe. And last thing, Lumberjack Festival. Ed ate 110 pancakes in 20 minutes. And it says, it's put on by the fire department, but it says call 911 for more information.
It's a really good joke, too.
That's funny.
I would say, like, also, so it's talking about this Sunday Lumberjack breakfast. It lasts, it also includes a full bar. And it's open from 6 a.m. until 3 a.m. It's a breakfast with a full bar that runs an entire day. It's pretty good.
Hello, friends, and welcome to The Midpoint. You knew it was coming, but it's important. It's important to champion those that have joined us in the Black Lodge and have made this show possible by going above and beyond. I'm, of course, talking about Eric Knopp, and Dawn Adamo, and Gregory Flanagan, and Chuck Suffel, and Banjo Track. I may want all my Garmonbosia, but you will have my heart forever. How did they get here? How did they get a shout out like this? Because they have joined our Patreon, which is available right now. So if you want to support the show, you can stop by and sign up for free or do one of the paid tiers that gets you the secret podcasts and you help us out. Go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and you should see a link for the Patreon there.
We got a nice shot of the double R in set there as well, which is really nice. I will note that, however, on the floor next to one of the stools is a blocking mark. You see there's 2 pieces of tape there that makes a little T. That's actually
okay. Look
a
at
mark
you.
for the set for
Okay.
an actor to stand on. But that's cute.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's nice stuff. Oh, Eric, then we get the cherry pie recipe.
Yeah.
It's just a confusing recipe to read. It's perplexing in a way that I think is absolutely intentional, but just really funny how it tries to explain how to make the cherry pie. That's great. I think the most important thing, though, is in the margin of this section. So now we're in the dining section, folks. I couldn't help myself. I'm excited because we get the Double R Diner daily specials for the week, every day of the week. It always mentions at the end that there is coffee as part of the special. So you get like a rabbit bisque and liver and onions with coffee, Tuesday's coffee, except on Sundays when the specials are leftovers and iced tea, which I think is just adorable.
I couldn't eat at this place. Like I was looking at this. I was looking at the Double R menu, special menu. I can't eat any of this stuff, and I didn't love the music selection either on the jukebox. There wasn't really maybe a couple songs I'd want to listen to at the Double R. But
well, so like jumping over to the jukebox section, I wanted to ask about that because we see characters come in and they're playing songs that are Angelo Badalamenti songs. They're not listed here, except there are a number, half a dozen or more. They're just listed as instrumental. And I wonder if those were supposed to be that instead.
But isn't it the artist in the middle, and then their 2 songs, their A and B side, right? So I think it's the instrumental of that artist.
Oh, the instrumental version of that artist. So the Billy Ocean, When the Going Gets Tough, and then there's the alternate, just instrumental version.
I think so.
I haven't seen like a real jukebox like that in so long. I have no idea. But yeah, you're probably right. Okay, maybe Audrey and Bobby just brought in their own tracks to play on the jukebox and Norma just let him get away with it. I don't know. Just, it doesn't fit with the universe, Eric.
No, yeah, I would have changed that. I'm going to pretend that didn't happen. You find out the donuts all come from Wagon Wheel Bakery as well. And they let you know that if you go to the Roadhouse, they do mention it as a place for night owls.
Eileen Hayward's, I forgot it was Eileen Hayward's Coffee for a Crowd, 40 to 250 servings.
Yeah.
It's just so ridiculous. You have to use 5 to 7 quarts of well water. Tap water is okay.
It's made with eggshells too, which is that a thing? I've never heard of that before, but is that
No, half a cup of chicory, sure. I've never heard of eggshells being used in coffee, but we should get Martha Stewart on the horn and see if we find out for sure.
Yeah, you got to basically crack the egg and then you freeze the egg for the future. And then you just put the shells in for the, maybe it's the wonderful. Maybe that's like...
I'm going to try it tomorrow.
All right, so jumping over to lodging, the only notes that I have here is we list the Great Northern. Obviously, we're all aware of the Great Northern. And then you get a bunch of places to stay, but we don't see the Timber Falls Motel, which seems like it should be listed. Now, that the fans that are listening are like, of course, the Timber Falls Motel. That's where Catherine and Ben were having their tryst while the one-armed man was staying there. So we've been to there. It was literally a location.
Traveling east on Highway 12, how long will it take us to reach the Timber Falls Motel?
Half an
10
hour.
minutes. Depends how you go.
Oh, that wasn't the Pine View Motel. Okay.
That's a Timber Falls Motel. And there's also the Robin's Nest Motel.
One-armed man is staying in the Robin's Nest Motel on Highway 9. Nobody's seen him for at least a day and a half. The room looks lived in. I found this. Same drug as last time. A weird, deep smell.
Now, maybe the Robin's Nest Motel, where the one-armed man had been staying later, is not in town, but at least you should have had the Timber Falls Motel on here.
Right.
I like that you do get the Great Northern lobby floor plan, because it's nice to visualize how that works. And as far as I know, it's doable, right? Like, which way to go to the falls. It's just kind of cool. All right, jumping off of the falls to our death, we have to do sports, which I found incredibly boring.
I don't think we have to do it. We'll just note.
We don't have to do it. I could tell you the two things that I have, and then you can go to town on this one. Toad plays with the boys. We already talked about that. Yep. The coach that gets his little sidebar call out, I found so gross he's talking about pooping in the woods and stuff. I was like, ugh, God. He's talking about a clean log in the forest or something.
Yeah.
I didn't want any of that. I hate this section. I did like the joke that Hawk told, or the joke that the writers told, where they're playing Northport and they hire grown men to play. And Hawk says there was one guy who I had bought a car from. That also I found very funny.
Also with Hawk, too, there's the game where he's running the wrong way down the field after having spouted what sounded like some mystical knowledge, but instead he really had a concussion and was...
Right, he mixed up his Shakespeare notes or something.
Right. He was misquoting Shakespeare from class. But that was pretty funny. I think the only thing that's interesting to me here is just that this was a place where they could throw in a bunch of people from the show and put them all together. So we got on this team, this very winning team, we had Sheriff Truman, Big Ed Hurley, you get Hank Jennings in here, Hawk's there, Toad, then a whole bunch of people that we don't know. But it was just nice to throw them all into one group here. But this was not my favorite section.
No, and sports are just not my thing. They did take an opportunity, I think, to do some meta commentary at this point. So you have headlines from the Gazette that says mystery play saves peak season. We know the show is not doing well and it's going to get canceled, and they're adding these mysteries to try to save peak season. And also Hawk going the wrong way. You could see that as meta commentary on the direction that the show took. It's running the wrong way, but now they've righted it and he's going the right way and whatever. So those are the just things. And then also, if you follow that line of thought, the best thing in our lives, we did it together, is kind of a nice send-off of all of the people involved in the show, even if it doesn't work out.
For sure.
And a lot of these guys are sports guys. I think Harley Payton, I know Mark Frost is, they're big baseball people, and they met in that, remember, it was the Fantasy Baseball League or whatever. So sports are important to people. Just not important to this guy.
Just not these people.
All right, so we're done with sports. We're going to talk about fashion.
And where to get
it. A men's fashion. Dan, anything for fashion?
Well, I'm just glad that we get a nice section for Dickie Tremaine here, which is great. I mean, it does almost explicitly call out the fashion show and the different ways to wear the different woodsy attire as well. So that's nice. I don't know. What is great in here, we do have a photo of locals. So on one page, we have the locals, Bobby and James, standing next to a totem pole. And then on the other page, we have David Lynch and Mark Frost.
Yeah, it looks like from the pilot.
Is a great photo. What's that?
It looks like it from when they were shooting the pilot.
Oh, you think? Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, it looks like the two of them are talking through something on this, as they're planning it out. Are they in front of? Yeah, they're in front of the sheriff's stage. You can see the glass front, the vestibule, and everything that was there in this photo here from the original. I don't know. What came to mind for you?
No, nothing. I have nothing. They mentioned Gentleman Gyms.
Gentleman Gyms.
That's it.
Yep. That was one thing. As I was reading, I was like, I hope they mentioned Gentleman Gyms, even though it doesn't really matter at all. I was like, I'm glad they did. That was nice.
When you're done playing sports, you're done to look out in the woods, you're done whittling, you want to go to church, right? We got plenty of religious worship opportunities in Twin Peaks.
Yep, we go through each of them. It also mentions, of course, the times of their services, and also talks about their coffee, the quality of their coffee throughout each of these, which is great.
Yeah, and which families go to which church.
That was
as well.
Yeah. What I did like, so it talks about the Lutherans and their services on Sundays. The one for the Catholics, just, I don't know, it struck me funny. Is Father Dunn and Brother Poplinsky celebrate Mass at 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 5:45 on Sundays as well. I guess it's a Catholic thing, but it's like, how many parishioners are there in Twin Peaks that go to the Catholic Church there? But we got the Hurleys, Pulaskis, and Packards do go there. We got that. We got the Baptists, the Episcopals. I think it makes a religious joke, but I don't quite get it. The coffee is available, but it's expensive. Is that an Episcopal?
For which church?
The Episcopals.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. It felt like it must be, but I don't quite get it. And then there lists the Twin Peaks Theosophist Society as well.
Yes, that's great. A very important piece, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, they mention Cooper, Pete, and the Log Lady were members, also once married in real life. But that, well, not the characters, but the actors.
Right.
Pete doesn't feel like someone that would be into the occult, but I guess he's odd. But yeah, he's a Martell. That other line of occultists was the Packard line, not really the Martell line.
I think he's just open to different ideas.
He's open to different ideas, I guess. That's fair enough. We learn more about the circulars, like their whole philosophy that what is given returns to the sender, and it somehow involves cannibalism. Yeah. And they smear elk shit all over their bodies so no one will eat them. Like, is this like another thing with lodge spirits consuming you? Like, what are these circulars that they've introduced? Again, it's elk feces, and we got the owls, and now we have the circulars. I don't know what they're supposed to represent. The cannibalism thing is bizarre, but it's up there. It's up there. Write it in your book, but I don't think it ever makes any appearance anywhere outside of this book. So it's just something to think about. I don't know. Yeah, it's just weird. There's so much stuff in here, and then to add this bit. And again, there's something going on with these elk and the owls, so I don't know. All right, so transportation in TV stations. I don't know if you have anything to say about transportation or TV stations.
Let's get another call out of Tom and Tim's Taxidermy and Well, they call it the Tom and Tim's Taxidermy and Taxi, but on the vehicle, it says Taxi-Dermy, which I think is better. That has that here. I just wanted to take a couple minutes and just read through the bus schedule for us of departures and arrivals.
Well, the big one is Missoula, Montana, R.I.P. Maddie.
True.
You can see her bus trip on there that she never made it to.
Yeah. Well, Leland does swear that he saw her get on the bus, so I don't know. I trust him. No, I don't... I will say we got the local radio station, KILL, does play old comedy favorites like Amos and Andy. Woof. So it's just interesting to include that here as well. What else we got? No, it says television stations, unless you got a satellite dish, forget it. So that's cool.
Yeah, except we know everyone watches TV because they watch Invitation to Love all the time. Maybe it's on UHF is a better transmission.
Oh, that's true. Say opposite the page, we get the Town Lift, we get the Twin Peaks Gazette. Now this...
Yeah.
Do you know about this? Like what the deal with this was? Was it something?
Well, I was looking at this and I was like, why didn't I sign up for these 12 issues? And you get your home address in Twin Peaks. You get a coffee mug, which I'll tell you why I didn't sign up for it. $30 in 1991 is like $75 now. I didn't have that kind of money. I was 16 years old. I was working in a movie theater.
Oh man.
I was spending my money on cigarettes.
You could have, if you had known this was even an option for you, you would have found a way to steal that money.
I will tell you this. In 1991, Eric Grissom could have paid for this with Camel Bucks. I probably had at least 30 Camel Bucks I could have dropped on this thing.
But this is the one piece within the entire book where it is not part of the the book itself.
It is and it isn't.
Right. No. Sorry. It has parts it has parts that are not. So it's obviously the newspaper in a smiling bag welcomes you, which is great. You haven't heard about the smiling bag in such a long time. So that's nice. But it does talk about so this seems like you could have signed up for it. You would have gotten all these perks. Like to have your own home address in Twin Peaks is really terrific. The coffee mug would have been amazing to have that as a collector's item. The first issue includes interviews with Richard Beamer, an Audrey Horne lookalike photo contest, which is fantastic. An introduction of regular features like Contest for the Gifted and Damned, Ask Chatterjee, and Cook's Corner. They're just fantastic. It also has little sample article here. Agent Cooper makes Black Tie's best dressed list, so it's a play on the Blackwell best dressed list for FBI agents. And I like that it calls out if you're not trained and astute in this area, everyone might look the same in the FBI, but they can tell that Cooper's got a little something special, which is really good.
I wish I had signed up for it. I've never seen physical copies of it. As far as I know, it was a fan magazine at the time that you could get.
So good.
And then was canceled at some point, probably when the show was canceled, but I've never signed up for it.
Have you tried calling the phone number? 1-800-626-TWIN.
I thought about calling some of these phone numbers. I probably should.
Well, this is the only one that's not a 555 number, so this is an actual number we could have called.
Yeah, we could call it right now. The language on this section where they call Denise Bryson Dennis Bryson was kind of lame. Like it's a much different tone than the show, and they're calling her a cross-dresser, and it just, I don't know. It was like
worst dressed list.
It was doing what Twin Peaks the show wasn't doing.
Yes.
Which was reducing Denise to this joke. Oh, your hemlines are too whatever. I don't know. I didn't I was not a fan of that.
That you're right. That stuck out to me as well as being completely incongruous with the show. But yeah.
And then there's that Audrey photo contest. So I imagine you can find photos that people would have sent in that would have gotten printed in this magazine.
16-year-old Eric Grissom entering the Audrey Horne lookalike contest would have been amazing.
I could have, yeah.
To remember that lighting does wonders here. So a lot can be done with makeup, lighting, and a spirit of deceit.
Yeah.
It's just really great.
All right, jumping off the Gazette, you got your timber players, Dan, right? So Sarah and Leland start it, so you get a lot of stuff about Leland, right? So first off, you find that they did a play called 'Tis a Pity She's a Whore, which I find funny because this all takes place in the high school theater where they're doing these plays. But they talk about Leland, and there's this note of sadness that he dies. There's no mention of him murdering Laura, Teresa Banks, or Maddie. That's 3 women that he's killed.
No.
And then it devolves into this attack on another actress. Whoever's writing this article is now attacking another actress. I guess the author is an actor.
Well,
that's the way I read it. Is they're saying, and then this so-called leading lady, she thinks she's going to get a thing. The only time she's getting a standing ovation is when she leaves the set or whatever. I took it as the author all of a sudden being mad about the play.
Oh, I actually was confused by this because I thought this was an aside of the author calling out someone who was making fun of their performance. That the author was but the author is the guy. But no, it can't be because it's a woman.
Yeah, I think it's an attack on someone else because it's following her removal from the stage, and then she simply misjudged an extended side of her. Okay, let's read it for the people.
No.
So they're talking about this thing. They're talking about Leland. And then all of a sudden, in parentheses, it says, the hammy, quote, leading character actress, by the way, has never received a standing ovation in her misbegotten life unless it was following her removal from the stage. And then she simply misjudged an extended sigh of relief. So they're saying this actress thinks she's getting a standing ovation, but it's really people relieved that she's leaving the stage because she's so awful. But it's just weird. And I find that's an overall point when I was going to talk about the tone. My overall thoughts was there's not enough Laura Palmer in this thing. But
no, this is one mention of her.
She gets 2 mentions. Oh. She's not mentioned here at all. I mentioned her because they don't mention her killing her, but she's only mentioned twice in this whole freaking thing.
Well, one is the cemetery, which is on the page opposite. What was the other mention?
It's mentioned, I think, in Leland's bio.
Oh yes,
as well as the thing we haven't got to, which we're doing now. Black Lake Cemetery. Dan, go.
I have dogs barking in the background because
I hear them. It sounds like a car alarm. They're very consistent. It's like, All right, so this cemetery, Dan, this is, as I said, one of 2 mentions of Laura, and it's just a plot of land. That's what you get for her. There's more attention that is spent on Leland, and I get that it's a guide, but it just seems a little weird. We get in this thing I talked about, there's another mention of Andrew's grave, but we know he's alive, but I guess the grave is still going to be there for when he needs it. And again, my questions about what time does this book actually take place? Is it before the condemned woman? Is it after? It's clearly at least at the moment that we are up to now, and it's not after season 2. I did find the grave very funny that had the title, or had the heading, Merlin, I told you I was sick. I enjoyed that quite a bit. What about you, Dan, on the cemetery?
Yeah, no, I had the same notes. Like I said before, Andrew Packard's grave, flowers are placed weekly. So I just assumed that it's him having that done, or he's doing it himself. But that's it. Yeah, so I do also like that it has the freshly laid plots of Laura and Leland Palmer at the top of the hill and slightly to the south. Was Laura's grave at the top of a hill?
No, it seemed like it was flat. We're trying to think back of Donna yelling at it.
But I think this is much more poetic to have it at the top of the hill.
Yes, and they talk about the view as well, sunset being the most appropriate time to enjoy the lovely vistas from the hilltop. The view is fine and coffee is unavailable. They stick like a downtown style map on this page as well, so you can see where Black Lake Cemetery is compared to some of these streets. You get Frost Avenue, which obviously for Mark Frost. There's a road that goes to Lowtown. We remember Lowtown from the diary. That's where everything got dark in the day, and Laura had that horrible experience with those drug dealers, and Bobby shot a guy in the back of a pickup truck.
I also, just since I'm looking at the map here, on these town maps, it does have a little legend of the distances, but it's all in minutes walking, which is great. That's cute.
That's
That's
very cool.
Nice touch. Cool.
All right, so jumping off that, we got the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if there's any line items you want to review here. I would just say, is this also another meta commentary on the fact that the town is losing money, another reference to the show losing money,
right,
and not being successful anymore? There are some funny notes about like what these expenditures were for, like nighttime security is Sparky the watchdog, and
$505,000 for the 4th of July picnic.
Yeah, there's a 2 dot. Which is the one that's 2 dots? Recycling, but the note is begun in February, discontinued in May due to excessive cost,
right.
Which maybe that's around the time the show was put on hiatus. I'm trying to think of like when the show stopped airing. Was it around May? Because I think we're in June now, so I think that's when
that makes sense.
That was. So
that's pretty good. This guy putting connections together.
All right, so we're gonna jump over to the government, which possibly more meta commentary. Let's talk about the prison.
I don't really know what to make of this. It says a pet project of nobody really knows who. The proposed maximum security prison to be built on unspecified land. I don't know what to make of this. They have a diagram that shows a floor plan for the prison as well. It breaks down what the cells are, including like measurements. It looks like blueprint schematics. I don't know, man. It's just a weird thing to include.
Yeah, well, they talk about it, how it's DLMF Creations, David Lynch, Mark Frost Creations. They want to build this prison in Twin Peaks. Is this like the creators of the show making a prison for the staff and cast that are... Because they talk about how they're like pitching this thing and then no one wants it, or they're not sure if it's paid for. I don't know. It's just like it's a David Lynch, Mark Frost creation that is a prison. So it's a weird vibe on it.
The weird part. I like the rest of it as being like a meta commentary of they're making a show that nobody wants. It keeps getting shot down and moved. Like there's like no specific place where it's supposed to be set. Like how it gets moved around on the day of the week that it's being shown. Like I guess there's something there, but the prison's weird.
Yeah, the fact that it's a prison is not a good. It's not a good connotation on that. All right, so we get the last thing here is this telegram to Briggs, which everything is redacted except for the words, nobody knows the trouble we've caused.
Yep.
So
that's it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it. So
it's two Garland Briggs from the Twin Peaks Chamber of Commerce, just so people know. Yep.
quick thing here, we find out about these cards that they had, these Star Picks cards. Yes. Man, I wish I had a deck. And I have been looking on eBay, and they don't seem like they're that expensive. But so I am looking on eBay. If you have a set of these cards, let us know. Is it worth me spending $40 or $50 on these things? Yeah, I bought the cards.
Let's
well, I guess we could talk about the maps too. I'm going to complain because if you look at the map of the town, where they have the gazebo is not where you would have a gazebo, Dan.
This guy has mentioned
Why
it before,
would you
folks.
have a gazebo? All right, so this is going to be hard to explain to someone not seeing this. But they have the gazebo, number 13, if you are lucky enough to have a map, in a park that's set in the middle of town, as either streets all around it. You got the railroad tracks. There is no body of water anywhere near this. We know the gazebo that we're constantly seeing is by up north. You know, it's near the Black Lake.
Right. Well,
why is it here? Why do they have it here?
There's a separate gazebo, but that doesn't make any sense at all.
I guess there could be a second gazebo.
Doppelganger. It doesn't make any sense. Why would you have something that you see in the show quite frequently that is significant to the plot and then just not reference it, but reference something else? It doesn't make sense.
But so they show you with this map, assuming the other things are correct. You've got the Great Northern. You can see where Whitetail Falls is. You've got the Black Lake Dam. So there's a dam here. The town hall, which we saw, Log Lady flicking the lights. Yep. The Grange, which has been burned. So the remnants of this beautiful structure are in town. You've got, they tell you where the Palmer house is. You can see where the Briggs house is, so you can get an idea of I love maps. So I'm a huge fan of maps and putting maps in books, and it makes the world feel more real and lived in, where I can see, oh, that's how far they would have to walk to sneak out together. You get the Hayward house, you get the high school, you get the Black Lake Cemetery, you get the Double R, Dan, you get the gazebo, but we're going to pretend that's not where it is. You can figure out where the roadhouse is. So the roadhouse, makes sense. It's over by the railroad tracks. That feels right. You find out where Dead Dog Farm is. It's who's going to know where Dead Dog Farm is? I know where Dead Dog, and it's nowhere near the rest of the town. It's all the way out on some place called Deep Woods Avenue. You've got Harold Smith's place. You can figure out where that is. We talked about that. That's near Pearl Lake Road. What else do we have, Dan? Packard Place. Got it. Packard Sawmill. Owl Cave. When we were talking about the petroglyph last episode, I spent a lot of time going through the whole petroglyph about where the mountains were and where the ring of trees is. Now we know Glastonbury Grove is this ring of trees. But if you look at where it is, it's up near Pearl Lakes, which is cool because it looks like little pearls on a string, is the top right corner. But if you look at the map of the petroglyph, the ring would be all the way on the left side by where people looking at this aren't seeing a map. But if it's showing the circle of trees on the top right, when you look at the petroglyph, it's actually on the mid left. So then I was thinking, well, maybe you turn the petroglyph around or you move the map to make it line up, but it doesn't really ever line up. You can't really line up the mountains, the waterfall, and where they're saying these ring of trees is. Am I overthinking it?
Yes. Yes, without a doubt.
Yes.
All right.
Anything you want to say about the maps before we...
Oh, no, I think you covered that exhaustively.
Okay.
We're good.
There's a bunch of more stuff I guess we could talk about. All right, so let's do this list. So you do get a few characters, some standouts that are missing, which I'll point out.
Well, I'll just say in general across all of them, I do like that they specifically call out their star sign.
Yes, and that ties in with some of the petroglyph stuff. We're always talking about Jupiter and very astrology heavy.
It's so funny to do that, but I know I in all of these, none of them really had a huge anything that really jumped out at me. I do like, so each one they give a little background of the person and then what they like best about Twin Peaks, which I thought was actually the more interesting part for each of these. But tell me what you thought.
All right, so Josie Packard, you get the confirmation of Andrew being lately, quote unquote, reappearing, but it talks about her traveling to mysterious places. but there's no mention of her being deceased. Now, we know she's in a drawer knob, right? So is that the reference to the mysterious places? But they don't talk about her being dead. So again, does this take place before episode 23 or after episode 23? Why doesn't it mention that she died? Ben Horn talks about this like restorative power of song, which is not something I normally associate with Ben. But he is hearing, like when we were talking about Josie being in the wood of the Great Northern, he hears that sound of like the Tibetan chanting bell or whatever it's called, and turns to it. So it's just weird that he's associated with song. It's like a Leland thing, but it's a Ben thing here.
Yep.
We hear that he was nicknamed Peacock, and that he likes far-sighted citizens more, I guess, than nearsighted citizens, which for me is like, okay, you'll only see the bigger game. You're not going to see all the close-up sketchiness that I'm doing.
I read it as people who are like looking to the future, like farsighted in like planning out the Ghostwood estates and all that. Like that's what I thought.
Yes,
yeah, okay.
You're probably correct.
Okay.
I'm probably making something that's not there, but like nearsighted, not being able to see what he's doing, the close stuff, the close magic where he's putting his hand in your pocket.
Sure.
He wants people that are just looking at the end result. Catherine Martell, you do find out that she learned Japanese in high school and also is the Kama Sutra.
Yeah, that was a standout.
Yeah, that was like, okay, now I understand her and Ben and why that was working so well. Dale Cooper, we find out his official birthday is April 19th, 1954. Now, that may have been called out in the autobiography. I just didn't remember, but it's clearly on display here. April 19th, 1954. Lots of mention of the Theosophist Society, which is an occult movement in the U.S. in the 19th century founded by author Madame Helena Blavatsky. Now, this is a huge part of the mythology of Twin Peaks, especially when we talk about the White Lodges and the Black Lodges. Like, it was a Western type of mysticism or philosophy that draws heavily on Buddhism and Hinduism, where they had these masters that were in the like Nepal and areas like that had great powers, that had clairvoyance, that they could project their souls out of their bodies to other locations, and they were connected to a place called the White Brotherhood or the White Lodge, and in this lodge they would watch over humanity and guide its evolution. Some of the ideas, if you go into like the Rosicrucians and all of that, I love the occult in this way, and sort of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn and W.B. Yeats, and all of this stuff is heavily influencing Twin Peaks, like the White Lodge, Black Lodge mythos, and I think Mark Frost was heavily drawing on that stuff here. So we're getting a lot of that fed into the book. Dr. Jacoby's bio, nobody calls him Doc.
No.
And it says Doc, so was that a mix-up with Doc Hayward?
Maybe.
Right? Like, it's just weird that they have him Doc. And he also likes Spider-Man. There's a part of me that has to correct them for not including the hyphen between Spider and Man, but I'll let that slide. Margaret Lanterman is also listed as the Log Lady and not Margaret Lanterman,
which kind of bugged me a little bit.
I'm with you. You find out she teaches ballroom dancing, which is not something that I would have associated with her. But among her best, Glastonbury Grove. So we're being fed Glastonbury Grove a lot here. That there's an importance to that location. Hawk, we talked about him running the wrong way. He's a fan of the Timber Games, like Dan.
But calling him Tommy the Hawk throughout. The always threw me off. It's just like Tommy Hawk.
Yeah, Tommy Hawk, but right.
Anyway.
The breaks the joke of the Tom. Yeah. Yep. All right. Pete Martell. Pete is said to be the most luxurious man in Twin Peaks, which I found to be kind of mean.
Yeah, but accurate.
Right? It's 100% accurate.
I mean, I had to look the word up, but also yes,
I 100% looked the word up. The listeners don't believe that I knew that word offhand.
He's under the heel of his wife, basically.
Yes, I probably should have defined it there instead of pretending we all knew.
Everyone's using that word all the time. But poor
Big Ed, I'm roughly Ed's height, gang. He is unaware that his whole thing about his birthday. So it says like he is unaware that he is Scorpio because he's convinced his birthday is October 26th, and he's right.
It's just another little joke. It's just a silly little joke, but yeah,
right. Also loves games and the passion
He
play.
also loves beaver fritters. Ugh. Okay.
Yeah. Norma is said to be a fan of the Paranormal Review. Now, I found a play called The Paranormal Review that is all about the occult, but I don't know if it's this play. I don't know if that's a newer play. Like, I didn't know if there was anything to The Paranormal Review. It is a play put on by the Palmers because they started this group. But it was weird. Again, Norma, not a character you would associate with the paranormal. But that's the only thing of interest, I think. Yeah. You get James. Nothing. I didn't find much on James other than he's a fan of Julie Cruz. Okay. He likes to drive his motorcycle late at night. You got to give it up for Trudy getting her maybe one of the longest sidebar bios.
It is by far it's 1.5 margins long.
Yeah. Now, wife of Bob Engels. So I if I ever get to talk to Bob Engels, which could happen, fans, I will ask him because like it's kind of sweet if he wrote this for his wife and like because he's one of the writers on this thing, and imagine they divided this thing into sections, so it makes sense that he would do it. Find out she was a former cheerleader. She likes to take photos of awnings.
Yes,
which was just such a strange thing.
Strange detail.
She also got a Wood Award from Ben that cost $48 that they had to raise money for. Yep. Like he wouldn't even pay for this thing himself. He raised $48. And I like a lot that she is in here. There's not a lot of women in here. It's mostly men that are in this sidebar.
We also haven't seen her a lot recently.
No, only a few times tops. The whole series. Doc Hayward is an expert in euthanasia.
That was
a weird detail. Yeah. What does that mean?
Yeah. Do not know.
All right. So then you get Leland Palmer's. This is the second and only mention of Laura, that she was beloved to him. He killed her and he killed Maddie. And granted, nobody knows Teresa Banks, but she's still a woman. She deserves life. He literally killed 3 people. Are we supposed to take this meaning that no one in the town knows that he did this? Granted, it's a travel guide. You can leave him out, you know? And again, it's got to be with the show, so you'd have to find some way. But it feels like it's like this weird whitewashing of Laura Palmer's death from the world of Twin Peaks.
Laura Palmer truther over here.
Right. Well, it's like, I guess, a meta commentary of where the show went.
That's true.
Where they sort of removed her from the show until, I don't know. Last one is Harry Truman being a fan of, quote, Oriental dishes, which was, there you go.
Yeah.
But no Laura, no Donna, no Shelley, no Nadine, no Audrey. It's like surprising. Some of the greatest characters in television history, and they're not on here.
Yeah.
Now, I guess you can't have that many, but it's like, well, come on. You could have had that many. You could have had one less page of like how to, skin a whatever.
How to hang your axe properly would have been.
Right, or how to cut the wood, the different saw blades for. But I guess that's the idea. It just feels like you have all these bios. A third of it is women.
Gonna do the fan service. You might as well go the whole way and really service the fans.
But it's not like they're not huge characters. I thought for sure you'd get a Nadine.
No, you get more mention of Toad than Nadine.
Yeah,
so,
you're right. Yeah. You're 100% right.
Craziness.
No mention of Audrey at all.
Who?
No, yeah. Who? But she's the daughter of. You literally have a whole section on the horns, right? I don't think she's mentioned. No. Maybe she got mentioned in there, and I'm forgetting it. Anyway, that's it. I'm overall, it was certainly enjoyable. I will say this. If I owned it, I would love it more than just reading a PDF.
Right.
I feel like you have to hold it. Like it's that
a
type
tangible
of
artifact.
It has to be tangible.
Yep.
Like most of the value, I think, is in recreating a guide for a town, not a digital PDF.
Right. I would agree with that.
I'm glad I read it. I don't feel like I know a lot more about Twin Peaks than I did before.
You got a much better sense of the geography of Twin Peaks, right or wrong.
I know a lot about the fauna and the flora. Yeah. So what is your overall?
No, I feel the same way. It was a enjoyable read. It was silly. I liked the jokes, kept it light and moving along. Could have done without a couple of the sections, but I think overall it's worked as a device to tell the story. Like it kept true to the conceit of being a town travel guide. That was great. I think of the 3 books we've read, it's not my favorite. I think the other ones were better, but it was still, I'm glad we read it. It was definitely a really cool thing to have a chance to read it, given that it's that ephemera from the time. Very cool.
Yeah, no question. It's like, it's a different thing. It can't compete with The Secret Diary of Palmer. I mean, what is going to compete with that? But it's fun. So if you enjoyed this, let us know what you think, or get back on the TV watching, because we're hitting up episode 28 next.
Eric, we're coming towards the end. We're rapidly rolling up.
I know. Miss Twin Peaks. This is the penultimate episode of Twin Peaks. Yeah, and then it's the great last episode, and then we're on to Fire Walk with Me and beyond.
There we go. All right, folks.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys and girls. See ya. What? Bye. Hey. See ya. What? Hi. Yay. Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again, and in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.